Yo, guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Marijuana SA Weekly. So glad you guys joined us. Just a little bit of info before we start. We try to bring some news, and we also have a grow store to you guys every week. So you can just like and subscribe to the video below. And you should be good to make sure you're always up to date with all of our content. Today, we have an awesome guest coming on. It's Myrtle Clarke. She's a worldwide famous activist in the cannabis industry. She's been promoting cannabis activism for many years, and to be honest, most of the industry that we are in at the moment in South Africa is because of her and the Fields of Green for All and what they've done over the years. She's going to be giving us a little bit of insight about what's going on in Parliament at the moment, and I'm not really going to go into too much into it before. But yeah, that's going to be really exciting. And of course, to join me, as always, Dean, how's it going?
What's up, everyone? Super excited, as always, to be with you once again on the weekly, and to have Myrtle on, who's one of our favorite all-time guests and really knowledgeable in the space, as Andy was saying.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, let's introduce Myrtle. We're just going to bring her in from the waiting room. Hi Myrtle, thanks so much for joining us today and being able to give us a little bit of info on what's been happening. Just a little bit of background on the Cannabis for Private Purposes Bill and sort of leading up to what's been going on in Parliament at the moment. If you can just give us a little bit of a rundown on that.
Sure, it's so lovely to be here talking to you guys again. So in, I think it was October last year, the government suddenly published the Cannabis for Private Purposes Bill. Now, following the Constitutional Court judgment of September 2018, we'd obviously been waiting with bated breath for 2 years for something to happen, because that judgment gave the government 2 years. So then the bill came out, and it was suddenly this whole bill with everything, all the rules and regulations and everything. So, well, not really regulations, but the rules and the law. And then there was comments were open, and we were given till the end of November to put those comments in, which wasn't very long, considering that so many of our community live in so many remote areas. So then there was an objection put in by the Mzimvubu Farmers Support Network, who've actually just now today they presented in Parliament, and we had got an extension until March this year. And then suddenly last Monday, we all got an email to say, please join in the government's comments, their government's presentation with various departments. But that was at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sessions were starting the next morning. So we all scrambled around, and we attended the sessions on Tuesday and Wednesday last week. So that's where the various government departments, starting with the Department of Health, then the Rural Development and Land Reform, then Agriculture, then Trade and Industry. So that was over the 2 days last week. Then on the Tuesday afternoon, the chairperson of the committee, which is the Committee of the Justice and Correctional Services Department that is administering the bill, this chairman just dropped the bomb that public hearings would begin this week. And we've been waiting for public hearings now for, almost a year.
Yes.
So starting on Tuesday. So we all scrambled around, but none of us received any formal invitation. So we waited, and we were checking our emails like every hour. On Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, I went out, and there was still no email. And then I just thought, oh, well, Fields of Green's not going to be invited.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know any criteria. And on Friday afternoon, I finally got the formal invitation. So that's what I spent last weekend doing, is putting together a presentation. And it was all held on Zoom, and it live streamed from the Parliament YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to go and look at those, they can either get the links off of our Fields of Green blog, which will be going out tomorrow morning, or they can go to the Parliamentary YouTube channel and just search Justice Portfolio Committee, and then all of those recordings will come up.
We'll also link to them below.
Hours. And you guys will link below as well. Yeah. So that's basically the background. And Fields of Green for All was, we did our presentation yesterday. It was a huge scramble because we woke up here at the Jazz Farm to no electricity. Oh, no. So then it was a case of, what do I do? And then I decided, I just got in the car and I went to Neilio's house, who's our Captain Stream for the Hot Box show.
Yes.
And he lives about a half an hour drive away. So I just drove there, connected to his internet. And thank goodness I did, because when I got there, there was an email from the secretary to say, are you ready to present now? Like 3 hours early.
Oh, wow.
So give me 10 minutes and I set everything up and propped a picture of Jules behind me and just did it.
Amazing.
Amazing. So that was been scramble.
Can you, in brief, then just give us a little bit of an idea of what you spoke about in the? Of course, it's quite dense, but just some of the major points that you brought up that that you wanted the government to hear.
Oh yes, I can, because I've still got the copy of my my presentation here somewhere. So basically what happened is, last year was a terrible year for us. And when this request for submissions came in, it was very, very difficult for us to put it together. So our submission was a bit brief and maybe, not very professionally put together and all of that. But in the meantime, we published our manifesto. And that was launched on 4/20 this year. So thank goodness, with my Fields of Green for All team and our amazing international drug policy researchers, everybody stood by me from January until April, and we managed to get the whole manifesto out and printed and finished. So I asked respectful leave of the committee to please consider our circumstances and please consider accepting the manifesto as our submission. Because our submission I was really not very proud of it. So that was the premise. So then I broke down my presentations into the various sections of the manifesto, but I started with explaining exactly who Fields of Green for All is, and the fact that we've got ECOSOC status at the United Nations, which gives us a voice on the international stage. But the overarching point of my presentation was that the harms of the prohibition of cannabis far outweigh the perceived harms of the plant. So then I just dived straight in and went through section 1, which is the first learning resource that the lawmakers should use, because they need to at least know what the plant looks like. So that's because and I joked with the committee, and I said, we think that you still think we smoke the leaves, because all parts of the cannabis plant are illegal.
Yes.
So our section 1 of the manifesto is basically all of that. What does it look like? These are the roots. These are the stems. These are the seeds. This is what a male plant looks like. This is what a small Afghani plant will look like, of the so-called indica variety. This is what a South African landrace plant looks like, 6 foot tall. You can't count plants according to plants because some are small. Look at an auto, that was section 1. Brilliant. Then section 2 was basically nothing about us without us. We went through all of our stakeholders and called for greater stakeholder involvement. And then that's when we hit them with our idea for a South African Dagga Commission. Okay. And we wanted to be the Zondo Dagga Commission because we like Judge Zondo. cost 5 million rand the last time. Nobody's got money. Who's going to donate? Then we've got to go cap in hand around the world. Can you give us some dollars to try to go to court? So I made that very clear, that we want a commission. We want to sit down around the table with these people. All of us. I didn't say it, but they can pay for the accommodation and the catering. Yeah, they love catering, the government. So that was basically the preamble of, we want to talk. We don't want to go back to court. And then I went into the main body of our manifesto, and the fact that we've got a solution here. Because it was quite interesting, after Jeremy and Gareth and the Eastern Cape government had spoken, they were all asked the same question: what is your solution? Because as they stand, with all due respect, Jeremy and Gareth have not presented a solution. It's all very well that you go on, wah, and what about this? And we're human rights, but if you don't have a solution, you can't get what you want unless you know what you want. So we didn't go into too much detail. Section 5 is really long with the whole model and everything, but we did emphasize Dagga private clubs as an immediate solution.
Yeah.
And after that, actually, there was a club that presented a very succinct, very professional presentation, but it was a little bit sort of elitist, I don't think that they'd geared their presentation. So we saw the gold standard of clubs being presented, but there was nothing about a club run in an informal settlement in an exercise book, because that is ultimately, that's first prize. And then you upskill the community from there. So it's a big problem that we have at Fields of Green, is this sort of colonial capture of our Dagga private clubs.
Yeah.
See, 100%. So I've made a very strong point about the clubs, and it actually came up in the questions too. They wanted more clarification of what a club was, So that was the main bones of everything. And then I went on to, the way forward, which is our section 6 of our manifesto. It's okay, what now? Okay, first of all, stop the arrests. And all the way through the presentation, I just bombed the police. And lots of people have.
Yeah.
The Cannabis Trade Association, African Trade Association, were just on earlier today, and the guy just said, the police. And then I hit them with Jules's murder. I said, the way forward is you've got to take the South African police and cannabis and separate them completely.
Yeah.
We don't want anything to do with the cops. I said, I will never allow anybody on my property to come and count my plants. Who's going to come and count my plants? Who comes and counts my whiskey?
Yes, exactly.
and then thank goodness. I mean, it really has been such an interesting week. Thank goodness other people have also said that. Jeremy, Gareth, everybody, this plant counting thing. And also when it comes to licenses, the whole license system, everybody has been saying, you do not license the cultivation of cannabis, you license the end product.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that would really, really make sense. So the cops, the licenses, the plant counting, I think we got it over very clearly and very strongly, and so have other people.
In all honesty, all of those things are going to help the government make more money anyway, because the methods they're planning on doing are very labor intensive. I mean, if you're going to count plants, just think about 2 or 3 policemen, a truck, a car, getting out there, counting the plants. I mean, it's thousands and thousands of salaries paid and everything.
What a waste of resources.
It's a waste of resources.
What we proposed is the formation of the office of the Cannabis Ombudsman, and Bud is in capital letters, so it's ombudsman. And so as a go-between, so if somebody's got a gripe, and the person's doing what, then they go to the ombudsman. If the ombudsman sees that there has been harm to another human being, an animal, or the environment, if the ombudsman deals with the harm, straight in with cops.
Yes.
But there has to be that go-between.
It's the same reason the banks have their ombudsman, because the police aren't trained to be able to go detect financial fraud and, all the regulations that the banks are supposed to be following.
Exactly.
I see that we're coming close to running out of some time on this, but I just want to find out, so where do you see it going from here? Is the government now going to take these and just mull over it, or is this sort of, what part of the process is this in the government's decision making, and where's this hopefully going to take us?
Well, it's exactly the same question as I had on Cape Talk this morning, and a very good question. I can say that we don't really know, because as you can see with the process thus far, they kind of spring it on us. I mean, I'm so glad that this didn't happen when the whole team was down in Platt, 3 weeks ago. I mean, imagine if this had all happened then. So we don't really know, but it seems to have been suggested that the committee will now go back to the drawing board and consider all of these submissions, because we've all had to send in our presentations. So I sent in the full script that I used and all my slides and everything. So I'm presumed that they will go and deliberate a bit and then get back to us. But, we are about to have the 3rd anniversary of the judgment this month. So, but what we said is there's no rush. We would rather have a constitutional bill than have something that's been rushed and not considered. We're prepared to wait as long as they stop the cops. As long as something gets done about the cops. So we don't know, but I promise you guys and our affiliates and the members of the Green Network and the wider community will be the first to know as soon as that comes in. Maybe they're going to call us back. I don't know.
Well, hopefully it's a good step it seems like a big step in the right direction, and we can only hold fingers from here. Thank you, Myrtle, so much for coming on and giving us your insights. We have the utmost respect for what you're doing and the fight that you're fighting on behalf of everyone in the cannabis industry. And thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much, guys. It was lovely chatting to you again.
Perfect.
Thanks, Myrtle.
Guys, that was amazing.
Powerful stuff.
We didn't even manage to get through half of what we wanted to, but it's just, as Myrtle was saying just before, it's such a in-depth, there's so much to it that it's like, how can you do it all?
Yes. And I mean, it's good to also hear that there's a lot of, it does sound like there is some kind of reception, and we can only cross fingers that the Govy stops springing stuff on people and starts to actually listen to the stakeholders who have done the research. I mean, the Fields of Green has put a lot of work into an answer and a solution, if it's present, makes the Govy's job a lot easier, don't you think?
and like, it's not just a solution, it's like, this is more comprehensive than some of the solutions that they've got for current, like in industries like insecticides and things like that. It's got to have heavy policies by the government, and that takes years of manpower to develop these policies. And here Fields of Green comes along with a global world standard policy and regime that could be followed, and that would make money for the government. It would make everyone constitutionally happy.
It would also involve all the stakeholders in the industry, because we have a very complicated market within South Africa of a lot of people who are small subsistence farmers who all rely on cannabis. It's a very unique situation for decision makers to make decisions if they don't even know what the plant looks like.
And save government all that money on mistakes that they're going to make, because that's what happens. The first world countries made these rules, they made mistakes, they learned from them, and then they made better rules. And we're stopping them from doing that, and we fast-tracking, or Myrtle Fields of Green is fast-tracking them along that journey. So I really think they should listen. And if anyone from the government is listening, read the manifesto. So we're going to link to the documents below. just with a bit of extra info on the manifestos and some of those links to actually watch the live streams from Parliament, which I think is going to be really interesting. And as always, guys, make sure to like and subscribe, join our mail list, check out some of our links below to our store, and have a great week, and check you guys next week. Peace.
Peace, guys.